Hello everyone and welcome back to another Black Clover mobile video. So today we are going to talk about some characters. If you have them, you should actually build them. And by the way, this is not the best characters in the game or a tier list. This is just a recommendation. If you have some of these characters that you can actually build them, or you need to build them because they will help you in the first months of the game. So I will try to limit myself to at least 4 characters, or SSR characters, and maybe 3 SR characters, but we will see. So let's start with the first character that if you have him you should actually build him because he is cracked. Let's start with my man William Vengeance. So William Vengeance, as you can see, he is an SSR supporter character. And the cracked thing about him is his ultimate, and we will come back to it. So let's talk about his skill number 1. As you can see here, it has a 40% chance to transform an enemy to a tree. It's actually just a stun on his skill number 1. Very useful. His skill number 2 is also a buff for an ally, and look at all of these buffs. So he increases the attack level 4 to an ally for 2 turns, he increases the speed level 4 to an ally for 2 turns, and when an ally's stamina is at 50% or below, has a 60% chance to apply 30% increased stamina. So he actually you can select an ally or your DPS, and you can actually giga boost them with his skill number 2. Very awesome. But the crack thing about Vengeance is his ultimate. So as you can see, his ultimate is an AoE that deals damage to all enemies, and grants 45 level 3 to all allies. So all allies will have reduced damage taken by 34%, and the crack thing that it applies a counter attack to the ally with the highest attack for 1 turn. So he applies a counter attack buff to the highest DPS character on your team, and when you attack that DPS character, they will just counter with skill number 1. So Vengeance is literally very good, and you see him everywhere in the arena defense teams. So if you have him, you should be building him. He is not a waste, not at all. So let's talk about the second character that if you have him, you should actually build him, and we will talk about the seasonal Asta. And seasonal Asta is by me not the best character in the game, but he is very good in PvE. For example, for the new raid, he actually destroys it. He is also very good in arena, and that's because of his actually ultimate. His ultimate is very awesome. So he grants him, it's a single target that have a high multiplier, but it grants him an extra turn when you are attacking an enemy whose HP is at 80% or above. And the good thing about Asta, if you can see right here, he is a very fast character. He is at 109 speed, so he most likely will actually always start the turn or start attacking before you damage most of the enemy's characters, and that's very awesome. And he also grants himself 30% increased damage upon attacking a boss. That's crazy for PvE. But his skill number 2, so you will use always his ultimate, and then you gain an extra turn, and you will use his skill number 2. And for me, sometimes the skill number 2 do almost more damage than the ultimate. So Asta is crazy damage dealer. He will help you so much for farming bosses, raids, and all that stuff. So if you have him, you should actually build him. So the third character is actually very hard because there are a lot of good characters. So it will be between either Mars or either the seasonal Yami, or between either Rail. So if you have one of these, you should build one of them. And for me, I will just go with seasonal Yami. Seasonal Yami is crazy character, and that's because of his ultimate. His ultimate is I mean, the total silence is crazy. It works in PvP, it works in PvE. So his ultimate is a single target damage dealing ability, and it applies total silence Total silence will actually silence the enemies and make them unable to use their ultimates and their skill number 2. They will only be able to use their combined attack and their skill number 1. It is very good for arena, and also the total silence can work on PvE enemies. Maybe this will be changed in the future, but it works on the enemies or on the bosses, so that's a very huge W for Yami. His second ability or skill number 2 is an AoE that blocks HP recovery, very awesome. And even his skill number 1, if you have more or 4 SP, it will do crazy damage. So I like this Yami very much. So if you have him, you should build him. Some honorable mentions: if you have Lotus, you should build him. Rail and Mimosa, these are all characters worth building. So I will stop right here. I will try to keep the list short. So let's jump into the SR characters. So I will also try to pick 3 or 4 characters. If you have them, you should build them. So let's talk about the. I think this is the best SR character, and it's Fennel. So let's take a look about Fennel. As you can see, he is a support character. But the crazy thing about him is what kind of support. So let's start about his skill number 1. It's a single target damage ability, and it increases the speed of 2 allies with the lowest stamina for 2 turns, and the speed is increased by 45%. So the crazy thing about this skill number 1, so it increases to the allies with the lowest stamina, and that means the allies that they already used abilities or used the skills, so those characters can actually have their second turn even faster, and I like his skill number 1. It's very good. But it doesn't end here. So let's go to his skill number 2, faster, and it applies a buff to all allies that applies increased attack, and it's designated. And if a designated ally has an increased crit rate buff, applies 10% crit damage. Very good. All the team gets a increased damage, and if your ally have an increased crit rate, he will get even more damage. And his ultimate is also a supporting ability. So as you can see, this guy is fully on support. He is very crazy. So creates multiple pathways with spatial magic to support all allies. So this is also a all allies buff. It applies increased speed level 3 to all allies, has a 60% chance to dispel debuff, and I think it goes to 100% from an ally, has a 50% chance to apply increased crit rate to an ally for 2 turns. So as you can see, this ultimate is cracked. So first of all, it applies speed for all allies, and you can choose a ally to cleanse them from any debuff. So if you have a character that is stunned, you can cleanse them. If you have a character that is I don't know, they have a lower attack or anything, you can cleanse them and have a 50% chance to apply increased crit rate to an ally also. So if that ally you cleanse them, you have a 50% chance to increase their crit rate. So that's very awesome. So you can combo actually his ultimate with his skill number 2. So you use his ultimate first, and then you try to use his 2, so you can get the 10% increased damage. So Fennel, after all, is a very good character, and what makes him also cracked is this: he is one of the fastest characters in the game. 124 speed alongside with Vengeance. They are, I think, the most fastest characters in the game. Let me just check right here. So let's yeah, he is. Oh, where is he? Fennel. Okay, he is not in the list, but he is the second fastest character after William Vengeance with Vatos, and we will talk about Vatos actually. So Fennel, if you have him, just build him. So let's talk about the second character, and we will need a damage dealer, and that is Yuno. So I think Yuno is actually a very cracked SR character. So his single target deal damage to the enemies, And if you crit them or you finish them or you kill them with his skill number 1, it will actually deal more damage, deal more AoE damage. So if you played him, you will see that if you crit the enemy or if you finish the enemy, he will do a lot of damage with skill number 1. So he is very good damage dealer. Let's go to his skill number 2. It's an AoE that has a 60% chance to apply defense reduction to an enemy for 2 turns. Very good skill, very good AoE skill with very good debuff on it. And his ultimate is also an AoE, and it has a 60% chance to apply incapacitate to an enemy for 2 turns. This is even better than the defense reduction. So as you can see, Yuno is a crazy AoE character. So if you didn't build him, he can help you on farming, on arena. He's a very good character overall. So he is the second character from the SR list I will recommend you to build if you haven't. So let's talk about the third characters, and this where it gets hard for me because I couldn't decide, but I will give you some choices. So you can, if you need a damage dealer, there is Ghosh. Ghosh also is a very good damage dealer. So if you don't have maybe very good SSR damage dealers, you can actually build Ghosh because of his additional attacks. He does additional attack on every ability. You can also maybe focus on if you need another damage dealer. I think Luck is also better. I think he is better than Magna for damage. So, but I haven't used him, so don't quote me on that. But for the third character I would recommend you guys is Vatos. So Vatos is also very cracked support character, and he is also very fast. His speed is 124 speed, the same as Fennel. And his also all of his abilities actually do support. So his skill number 1, it deals damage to a single target and it increases the stamina of your ally with the lowest stamina. Very good. His skill number 2 applies increased attack level 3 for to an ally for 2 turns and has a 50% chance to block stamina reduction, and I think it goes up to 90%. So he is very focused on stamina and damage for your ally. And his ultimate is an AoE that deals damage and also applies 20% increased stamina to all allies. He is very very good character for an SR character that have this very high speed stat. He is not bad at all, but I think Fennel is the better of these two. But he is not the worst pick to level up. So for me, these are the 3 characters for SR that you can build: Yuno, Fennel, and Vatos. You can also maybe, if you like Vanessa, you should maybe try to see her kit, because I think her kit, her ultimate, I think, is cracked. Her ultimate, where is it? Right here, applies above to all allies, that gives them total defense. Total defense is actually all damage received is counted as blocked, and when damage is blocked, restore HP by 8%. So I didn't try her yet, but for me she looks very cracked. So, but who knows, maybe she's doo-doo, who knows. So this is it for me. This is the list I recommend this is the list of the characters that if you have, you should actually build. I recommend. So for SSRs, I will go back the seasonal Asta, the William Vengeance, the seasonal Yami, and some honorable mentions like Rail, Mars, or Lotus, and Mimosa even. And for SR characters, there is Yuno, there is Fennel. Fennel is very important. There is Vatos, maybe Vanessa, maybe Luck. Even the SR Asta is very good, but if you have the SSR, I mean, you can't put 2 Astas in one team. So if you have the SSR Asta, you should not be thinking about building the SR Asta. But he is very good defender. He is very tanky and annoying in arena. So this is it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and please help me reach 500 subscribers. And I'm very thankful to you guys. And I will see you in the next one.